for the people who hear that alarm and run away, or at least check, I feel really fortunate for them. But I think a lot of people get caught up. A lot of people take that bait, they pay that money, and they often end up disappointed.
Hello, Raiders and Crafters. I'm Valerie Isan.
And I'm Erick Mertz.
And this is episode 138 of the podcast. It is November 15th, 2023, as we record this. Today, we're talking about budgeting with confidence, building your writing business. Patreon. I want to do a little sidebar about Patreon right now. So first, I want to say a shout out to new patron, Chad Boyer.
Oh, wow.
Welcome. He's going to get the limited edition sticker and entry to the drawing for the goodie bag that includes the 2024 Passion Planner and coaching with me, along with some other fun goodies that I'll throw in there, plus a wall calendar that I designed. I decided to add that in there. So you'll get, that's all the bonuses for signing up with one of the new patron tiers. So even if you're
Chad can put that on his wall. Chad can put that on his wall.
On his wall.
Wow. Wow. Chad, you'd better clear some room for that calendar because it's coming.
So thank you for our existing patrons for believing in...
Wait, hold on. Yeah. I only say that because Chad joined my Patreon too. So I feel like
cool. Yay!
Yeah, so
nice.
I don't have a calendar for you, Chad, but I mean, I got some creepy stories.
So yes, thank you to all the existing patrons for believing in our work offline and here at the podcast. So if you want to be a patron of the arts, you can go to patreon.com/Valerie Isan. I am running a campaign right now, Patreon campaign, where you will get, like I said, the goodie bag with the planner and the coaching and some stickers and markers and stuff like that, and the wall calendar and the limited edition sticker that I designed. So that all happens by joining patreon.com/Valerie Isan before the end of the month. So November 30th, you only got a couple more weeks left. So that's the campaign that I'm running right now. And all of the tiers are different now. And I'm really excited about the community that I'm going to start building. And I've got the patron tiers now set. There are clearly reader tiers and writer tiers. And then I have creative bundles too. So if you want both the writing and the reading benefits, you can do a creative bundle. So that's the way I've designed it now. And it feels, there's still a lot of tiers to choose from, but it feels more, I don't know the word I'm looking for. Before I don't
know the word you're looking for either.
I just know that sometimes it was sort of like, I don't know which tier to choose. And there was a lot of benefit kind of crossover between writers and readers. So the reader benefits get books, and some other behind the scenes things. And the writers get more instruction and accountability and coaching and things like that. So I tried to make the benefits fit the title of the tier now. So head on over there and check it out. Plus, now Patreon is free, so you can be a free member. If you become a free member, you would not be qualified to get the goodie bag and the limited edition sticker and the calendar. That's for new paid members, but you can still join my community. Our communities, going to patreon.com and finding the artists that you want to support, and you can be. So it's kind of like following, I guess. That's a new thing. So we can still have community over there, and that's what I really want to do, is sort of build some community over there with paid and unpaid members. And there's activities that I'll be doing even with the unpaid members. So I want to bring some love to everybody, and of course this podcast will always be free too. So patreon.com/Valerie Isan, patreon.com/Strange Air Stories for Erick's Patreon page. And that you want to do a little
I haven't done anything new. I haven't done anything new with it other than put up new content. I've been really behind on making videos. maybe I just needed a haircut. So I made one the other day after getting a haircut, which I might have broken the seal there. Yeah, I got 2 new stories coming for the rest of the year. If you are a subscriber to my Patreon, you get all the ebooks from my series for free. There's a page you'll have access to. All the books are there. So with a book coming out in 2 weeks, like, you wouldn't have to pre-order it. You'd already be getting it. That,
Bonus, free books.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Free books. So yeah.
And they're cool books. I really like them.
Here you go. Here you go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you to Chad. I mean, I truly, like, I didn't mean to joke about it before. Chad jumped in and yeah, so Chad's going to be getting some stories. Why don't you?
Right on. Announcements. Early bird registration for the 2024 Writer Craft Writing Retreat is open. There are 4 private tickets left and 3 shared tickets. So we are likely going to sell out again. So please head on over to my website. The retreat page is valerieisan.com/retreat. And you can read about it and see if it sounds like something you want to do. And what else? I'm in the new anthology. You can now order the book.
It's here. Yay!
It's here. I'm super excited. Here is the book. Da-da-da-da.
For those who weren't watching, Valerie just reached over and grabbed it. It's a nice cover. I like that.
I'm on page 155. That is my essay, Eye Contact.
There we go.
So, very cool. I'm excited. So yeah, eventually it's going to be available anywhere books are sold, but you can always order it from Tsunami Books off of their webpage, and they'll mail it anywhere in the US for free. So $20. And yeah, tsunamibooks.org.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've never been in a anthology before, so I'm super excited about that. Pre-order Season of the Shadow is up now. Erick's book comes out November 30th. So that's super exciting.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Update. Sorry, go ahead.
You got a nano update?
I mean, basically November or NaNoWriMo in November has become more of a rebel Rimo for me. I have not been doing I haven't been doing the writing. I've just been kind of picking up the pieces from all the travel that I've been doing. And I'm in a life coaching accreditation program right now. So I'm also doing a lot of homework and training there. And then of course, I've been focusing on the campaign through Patreon, and also thinking about my next campaign for new clients at the beginning of the year. I'm going to offer some bonus material as a campaign for new clients. And I'm, thinking about putting that together. I also am finishing up a course that I bought in the summer called Show the F Up. It's one on branding. So I'm finishing up that course. I've got a workshop I'm teaching tomorrow at Wordcrafters. Wordcrafters.org. You can still buy tickets if you want. Let's see. Yeah, tomorrow it's in Eugene, Oregon, and also virtual. So I'm doing a hybrid class. And that one is on memoir. It's a 2-hour class. And I just found out I'm going to be teaching there next spring on a class on imagery in creative nonfiction. And that'll be like a 6-week class, I think, on Wednesday nights. So if you want to check that out, you can go to wordcrafters.org and check out their schedule. And I spent a lot of time yesterday cleaning up the back end of Patreon, filling out, like the new welcome notes and, figuring out the benefit tracker and all of the back end stuff. So that takes a lot of nitty gritty time too. And I'm going to an Alton Gunn concert in Portland on Friday. So that's my world right now. So I haven't been writing new stuff. I've been doing all this other stuff.
You could have
written, but I made another 800 words.
You could have written 400 words in the time it took you to
say
tell
all
us
that?
all that stuff. Yeah, 400 words right there.
Are you shaming me?
No, I'm not. I'm doing well. I am. I'm doing the thing you're not supposed to do at this time of year to people who are participating in Nano.
I'm a winner.
Okay. You are a winner. You either winner or not. You're a winner.
Rebel Rimo.
I like
It's
it.
a thing.
Okay.
What about your update?
24,800. I think I'm at. I hit. That's with 3 days off last week, a couple weeks ago. Feeling good. The story's taken a lot of different turns. A lot of weird things showed up, like subplots. Like, wow, I didn't know this was going to happen. Didn't know that was going to happen.
Is Night Watch your working title, or is that?
Yeah, it's the working title. Someone who works the night shift. It's just I couldn't think of anything else. And the longer I get into it, I kind of like it, although it's basically like a Stephen King title. But yeah, like it's just taken some unexpected turns. There's, like, I mean, my outline was really loose. Character was really character was well enough defined that there was room for her to do some weird stuff. So it took kind of like it took a seedy turn. It took kind of a bloody turn. Like, yeah, there's like all kinds of new things that are happening here. But it's hard not to be like, I'm not a perfectionist on that draft. I don't have the draft one perfectionist thing, but it's definitely hard to get through a chapter or a scene and realize that's not the best version of that scene. Like, just knowing it, like knowing if I went back through it again and again that day, it would work much better. But
that's not what Nano's about.
It's like plunging forward. So it's hard for me to sit here, especially at the end of the work day or at the end of the day, when I always like reflect a little bit about, what I finished. And it's hard for me to say, wow, that scene is not finished, but it's there and you've moved on from it. It's not in my DNA. So
well, good for you for stepping out of your comfort zone. And are you enjoying the whole process though, since this is your first Nano experience?
Oh yeah. It's weird to think that like having an end date just is weird. That's the part of it I'm suspect of. It's just, having some sort of artificial, I'll be done with this on the 30th. I'll probably be done with it on the 30th because it is actually, we're halfway through. I have half the words. I'm about at the halfway point.
Yeah.
In the story. So I guess that works out, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's just weird to have this date at the end.
What are you reading?
I am still reading The Singer's Gun. Although I'm enjoying it. I got an anthology called Fiends in the Furrow, which is kind of an anthology of folk horror. I picked it up from Amazon, and so I've been, of course, short story volumes show up and they jump the stack for me. So yeah, I'm reading both of those, Singer's Gun and The Fiends in the Furrow, an anthology of folk horror. What about you?
That's cool. I discovered this happens to me at least once a year, but less and less often. So I don't know if it actually has happened in the last year, but I have found myself reading like 6 books at once, and it's just too much. Like, I have to stop everything and pick one and just read to the end of that so that I can get out of this, like, oh, this looks like a good book, and start reading 1, 2, 3 chapters and then pick up another one and another one. So yeah, I don't know what that is. ADHD, I don't know, but something is scattering my reading attention. So I think
it's common to a lot of writers though, and readers. Like, you're not the only person. I hear a lot of people say that. Yeah.
But it's gotten too much for me. So the one I have like picked to finish first out of the 6 or 8 that I'm reading is Whiskey in a Teacup. It's a memoir that Reese Witherspoon wrote. It's Whiskey in a Teacup, What Growing Up in the South Taught Me About Life, Love, and Baking Biscuits. So I actually found it in the cookbook section at this bookstore, but because it has some recipes in it, but it's just a smattering of them. Basically it's a memoir. All cookbooks tend to have like, an introductory piece that is memoir-ish. And then the rest of it is, all recipes. So this is different. It's mostly a memoir, and there are some recipes in it. So I'm actually reading even the recipes as they come through, trying to be inspired to cook
Why
more, I
not?
guess. So that's what I'm trying to finish first. But yeah, I've got Women in the Cabin 10, I've Catching the Big Fish, The Starling House. Yeah, there's so many that I'm also reading, but
So
I'm
many
finishing
titles.
Whiskey. And I'm also, reading the new anthology too, because it's got a
Right.
lot of great poetry. And it started out with a great short story about a bookstore um, in the post-apoc, like a hidden bookstore, like books were outlawed. And so it was a cool story. Yeah, I really liked it.
Interesting. A very Fahrenheit 451 type of thing.
All right. Well, let's get into the show. We were talking offline about some things that writers can get, I don't know, not trapped into doing, but become susceptible to scammers. And, we were just having this sort of like writer beware conversation. And I thought, ooh, let's put some of this on the recording, because I think it's important. I had a client, I had an editing client years and years and years ago. After we finished editing her book, she wanted to start, pitching it and to finding an agent. And she emailed me several months after we were done working together and said, I'm so excited. This company has offered to publish my book. What do you think? Here's the, I'm so excited. She was just sharing excitement for it. And I scanned through she forwarded the email to me, and I looked through it, and it looked kind of sketchy. Like, is this one of those places that say they're publishing your book? But so I wrote back and said, I just told her not my suspicions, but just my concerns.
Right.
And I let her know about the Alliance of Independent Authors, and I think I mentioned Authors Guild too, or something like that, where they have those writer beware kind of services, and they can check your company that you've been approached by and see where they are. Like, they give them like a red through green, like, flag rating or whatever. And if their company, if their organization has heard anything negative about the company in question, then they'll include that in the little bits too, like, oh, this person doesn't work well with, I don't know, they'll have a list of things that have been said about the company so that you can make a more informed decision about whether to work with them or not. So I told her that, and she emailed me another week later and was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said something. I became a member of this organization and they looked into it and they're such a scam and blah, blah, blah. So I was really happy that I saved her before she, got swindled. But
And this is like,
yeah.
this is a bedrock of my, of the people, a common trait. I don't even know where I was going with bedrock, but a common refrain from people that come through my website, come to me. Like, they're often people who have like, oh, I have a book and it's a bestseller on Amazon, and now I'm being approached by a film company, and I'm going to pay them $25,000 to write a screenplay that they're going to get produced. Or it's something of that line. Like, they've been approached to do something. It's going to cost them usually a fairly huge amount of money. And it's, sometimes people have already gone for it by the time they get to me, and other times they're feeling it out. Just this last week, I had somebody, and like we were talking about offline, who wanted to publish their manuscript, and just like a basic, I want to create copies of this for friends and family to give as gifts, and they were told it would cost $10,000, and then when they said that wasn't good, they were told it would be $5,000, and then when they said that wasn't then it was 2,500. And it just like the alarm bells go off. And I feel really for the people who hear that alarm and run away, or at least check. I feel really fortunate for them, but I think a lot of people get caught up. A lot of people take that bait, they pay that money, and they often end up disappointed.
Yeah, I think just for any new writers listening, if there is any self-publishing service company that is offering to put your book out there for you, how do I say this? If a company's asking you for money, that's a red flag, because while it's important to pay your contractors for work, specific work, it doesn't actually cost money to publish a book.
Well, hold on.
I mean, it does, but
well, no, one of the things this is something I end up doing. So in this person's case, they were that money was going towards editing, interior design, and posting the book in multiple stores. So those are all services that a contractor, I do those things. Like I have a regular client who I arrange for editing for his books. I do the interior design and I publish the book on Amazon. But the dollar figures that person was quoted and what they were promised for those dollar figures it's partly the dollars and the promise. I'm not promising my client, I'm not your publisher, not publishing your book. I'm just helping you do the steps necessary to self-publish your book. Because he said, I don't want to learn categories. I don't really care. I'd rather just write and pay you to do it. So,
and that's totally valid, and that's why there are a number of author services available to us, and we can curate a team to do the specific things that we don't want to do or we don't know how to do. Like I will always hire a cover designer.
Of course, right.
I will never try to make my own covers.
I think that I think what attracts me to this subject is the idea that, and again, this is something we talked about offline, is this, unless you have unlimited funds, unless you have unlimited reach, I think of reach as like you have people in your network that you can call. And if you're like at most other authors and you have, maybe $1,000 or $1,500 to get that book out, and you're trying to figure out how best to do it, you're going to have to, I don't want to say compromise, but you're going to have to
prioritize.
You're going to have to prioritize, and you're going to have to understand a little bit of how the business works and what red flags are, because I can't, for the $350 I pay for a cover, I can't go sit with a designer in their studio for a day and brainstorm with them and sketch in sketch pads. It's not on my budget. I have to go with someone online. So I think I'm just saying there's things we have to be conscious of if we're going to do it on a budget.
Yes. So in an ideal world, if you are indie publishing your book, this is ideal. You're going to hire out a developmental editor or a story analyst, somebody that will read your book and just see where there's any broken bits and holes and whatever. Sometimes they're called continuity error editors. And you're also going to do like a line editor, someone that will check the grammar and just make sure the sentences flow and that there's readability so that the story that's there can be accessed by the reader. And then maybe a proofreader, or running it through a software that you purchase that will catch any like typos or anything like that, or missing punctuation, and then hiring the cover designer, and then using some interior design software like Vellum, or using the free draft to digital book editor, which I really like. Atticus is another software that I've heard that's really good for this. So there's options, or you can hire someone like Erick to do it for you. And what would be the next thing? And then you would need to,
Well, you have to post the book somewhere.
right. Yeah. You need to upload the files to the different stores and know about the categories. And, that's a whole nitty gritty process in and of itself. And then depending on how many stores you want to put it up, it just multiplies all the nitty gritty time, and you have to make a lot of decisions along the way. Do you want this just to be on Amazon? Do you want to buy an ISBN? Do you want to, do you want to do an audiobook? Like, there's all of these different decisions that you'll have to make as a business owner along the way.
And I think this is where I have like a personal philosophy. Do I get to say that? Mm-hmm. I have this personal philosophy that this
is your podcast, dude. You can make all the opinions and philosophies and say whatever you want to say.
Good point. Thanks for grounding me there. There are things that you're going to learn how to do. You're going to say, I can learn how to do this because I don't have the skill, but it's close to a skill that I have. There's going to be things that you say, I already know how to do this. Mm-hmm. So, and these are things that when you decide that either you know how to do it or you can learn how to do it, mm-hmm. then these are things that you're not going to pay for.
Right.
But then there are the things that you have to sort into the third pile. And that is, these are the things that I don't know how to do. And I don't have the bandwidth to learn how to do it, or I don't have the time. So I have to hire someone to do it. And that's like you're saying, it's got to be, you're not going to be a graphic designer. You're not going to learn graphic design, typography, all that other stuff. You're not going to do it. So you are making the choice to do that. You've probably chosen, I can do vellum. I can teach myself to do interior design. So, and I know how to do the writing. So I think one of the things people get scared of is like, they look at this whole process like, I don't know any of that, and I'm going to run away from it and try to hire somebody for $10,000 to do $1,500 worth of work.
Yeah, that's the crux of it right there. Yes, it is important to pay your subcontractors, your team. Right. I mean, if they're doing a job for you, then yes, you want to pay for that. But there's the companies, the danger becomes when the companies are, like you said, promising something that they can't. There's no way you can promise how many copies are going to be sold, or that you'll be a bestseller, or that you'll rank somewhere in this category.
Unless that person's a marketer. No, if that person's a digital marketer and they say, I have a track record of getting books like yours, and this is my trajectory. So that's a marketer's job, but that's not going to be.
I would still question how they're going to do it.
I would question the hell out of it. Can I say that? Can I question the hell out of that? But still.
Yeah.
If a person's saying
still
that,
suspect. Yeah.
They are a digital marketer. They're a book marketer. They're something in that field. So.
Yeah. Other things that I would question as a new author, PR, like hiring a PR person,
at this stage, if you're just new, if you've got one book, don't do it.
I wouldn't do that.
Because the good ones are expensive. Like I know a guy who sells books, and I've read some of those books, and my gosh, he's a great salesman because the books aren't great, but he gets them. I mean, I will meet with the clients and they'll have like, hey, here's me on the radio from Tampa, Florida, and here's me on the radio from Washington, DC. Like, wow, that's a great marketer.
So I wanted to go back a little bit and pick up on something you said earlier about the cost of things. So when I was going through the list of things to do, I was like, that's the ideal world. Now, if you have a budget, then you're not going to hire that all out. You're going to do the things that you can do, or do the things that you can learn to do. So when you run across something that you just don't, like me in the cover design, like, I don't want to learn that. I know that is not my expertise at all. And I'm always going to hire that out. So hiring out a cover designer now is a choice I'm making as a business owner. And I have options in that realm. So I can, like you said before, like sit with, an illustrator or an artist or whatever, and talk about that. You can hire
$5,000, $10,000.
Yeah. Like, first of all, I just want to go out there and say, I would not hire out original art for a cover
I just
because
bought original art for a cover.
did you?
Yep, I just
All
did.
right,
But I got a great deal with it because the
okay.
guy, yeah, I got it for $100. I got the piece.
Okay. So I would do that for $100. I would do that. But
Yeah.
the reason I wouldn't do original art is because it tends to be very expensive, rightly so. It's an artist. You're paying them for their service.
And a good artist is not going to license everything, all of it to you exclusively either. That's always the crux. Like they're going to try to sell you, this is the ebook is $100 and the print book is $200. And like, they're going to try to, just like a smart business person, they're going to try to, yeah. So there's
but
that.
also know that throughout your book's life, you will be changing the cover. You're either going to be changing the price, or you're going to be putting a pen name on it, or it just gets outdated, and you want to republish it with, a new cover to like breathe some life into an old series or something like that. So that's why I wouldn't spend $1,000 on a cover, because you're going to change it eventually. So, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yes, there's a range of designers too. You can choose, like you were saying, the Lord of the Rings guy.
The Lord of the Rings guy.
The Lord of the Rings guy, like somebody that's gonna, a well-known designer is going to charge more money than a lesser known. There are companies out there that kind of use a pool of them. Like I've used 100 Covers before. I really like their work and their designers, and that is a more affordable option. And that's what I go with. You can always buy pre-made covers from any graphic designer or cover designer, not graphic designer, cover designer.
They all have pre-made covers, every single one of them.
And that is a custom-made cover. It just is using like stock art or something like that. So it's very professional still, and it's high quality. It's just, you might see that cover somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like it's a stock photo. So I think those tend to be less expensive. So don't try to do it yourself because you don't have the budget, because you can find a pre-made cover for less than $100 sometimes.
Yeah. The pre-mades I see are like between 50 and 125 always.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the keys that we're talking about here is we haven't said, but it's implied, is that the price, when you're shopping for something, the price is the price, should be the price. I'm flexible with people, but what I have encountered is like the woman I was referring to, she was quoted $10,000. And when she said no, then the publisher said, well, we can do it for $5,000. And then she said no, and then it was $25,000. So like when you get on a cover website and you're looking to price the cover and it says $250, it's $250. It's not, well, do you have $750?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have $5,000? I think that there's a lot of, because this is not, I'm shopping for a car has a price on it. So you basically know when you're going to go get that car, it's going to be around that price. This isn't that kind of thing. There's no set price that covers should cost. And then, so I think you have to be savvy. And if something costs $500 and something costs $300, you have to know that $500 cover is better for your business or better for your book. You have to make that choice, but the price should be the price. And a good provider, though, I'm now going to contradict what I just said. I will be flexible with people if it's a time of year when business is slow, if it's someone I really like them, I really like the story.
Well, that's about the relationships and networking too. Right. Like there is benefit to making relationships and growing relationships with people in your industry, because you can trade with other authors for services that you might need. I mean, that is a budgeting conscious way of doing things. Like if you have an author friend that you can trade editing with, or if you have, so I don't do graphic design, obviously. So I would, if there was an author friend I had that was a cover designer, then I could see trading cover design for, maybe I would line edit their book or something like that, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
so there is some negotiating that can happen, some trading with people that you know in your industry. But yeah, if there's just somebody that's negotiating the price in that kind of scammy sort of way, that should set off some alarms. And then
If
just
it
double
feels like
check, you
it's,
know?
if it feels like their hooks are too, like they're not willing to walk away, um, I think as a business person, that to me was a really big moment in business, is when I just said to somebody, I can't work at this. This is, I wish you luck. I can't do this for this rate. It's just, I can't do this. Um,
As
and I think that
as the consumer or the designer? What do you
as the
mean?
as the provider, like, just,
Okay.
someone says, here's what I can pay for it, and I say that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
Um, that I think sometimes I'll get this sense that the provider out there is like this person, again, I'm going back to this example because it's so clear, but like, they didn't want to let them go. Like, oh, okay, I can't get 10. Now I'm going to try to get 5. I can't get 5. Now I'm going to try to get 25. I'm sure if that person said no to 25, they would have got it for 15.
So the
So
neediness is kind of the red flag for you. Like if
I
they're,
think that tells me that either the provider is not established enough,
mhm.
and 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 that might, okay, and I say that, and now I can think, like, when I was new, I would, I said yes to everything. I was pretty needy. I was trying to figure things out. Um, but it's just something, it's just something to be aware of. If you getting this sense that you're not, that person really has their hooks in and can't let you go, um, it's probably not gonna work. It's probably not what you're looking for. Um, Another thing I want to talk about before we shuffle off is, when you're hiring a person, ideally you're talking to that person, right? I'm a ghostwriter, and I get a lot of people who contact me and say, oh, I'm just relieved to be speaking to you. The last time I contacted a ghostwriting company, I talked to a project manager who managed a team of writers in another country or something. Like, they were never going to talk to the writer. Like, there's you're working on something personal, and having that personal connection, having some connection to the person doing the work, is important.
Yeah.
Really
If you want
important.
to have your hand in it at all, you know, if you want to have a say in what the cover looks like, or if you want to have a say in how the project is being managed, then yeah, talking to the direct contractor, I think, is useful.
I mean, how
Uh,
would you feel? I mean, even as an editor, or a story analyst, how would you feel? Like, not, I don't know. It just would feel, I think it would feel awkward to, like, not know the client, not establish that rapport with the client, not taking the time to figure out if the client is right for you. That would, I don't know. I would just imagine that would be, I don't imagine that would be very comfortable.
as a as you know, I'm running a global business, so I get clients from different parts of the world, even, or you know, definitely across the United States. So I don't have, I mean, they're not in the same city. I can't go have coffee with them. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But they
And we
contact you directly.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it does go through I also work for an online company, an editing
Oh,
company, and so they'll put the job out, and there's a pool of editors that do contact
the
the
person.
author directly and say,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I can
Yeah.
do that job for you. So it's not that they found me on my website. I mean,
Right.
some people do, but I'm talking about this one particular company.
Yeah. 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 I have some of that too. But it always is like, from that company then feeds you and says, all right, well, check out this person, see if they're a fit for you. And then
Hmm.
they're basically just the lead generator. I guess I
Yeah.
just feel like I get a lot of people that say it's really, it's hard for me to make that connection with that writer because I'm talking to the project manager in
Hmm.
Malibu, and they've got a writer in Hong Kong, and
Hmm.
I'm never going to talk to them. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't, and that might be okay for you. It might work, but it's just something to be aware of, like how little or much contact you want to have with the person doing your work.
So in terms of budgeting, Eric, to close out, in order to budget with confidence and build up your writing business, how it like, let's some takeaway here. There are decisions that you'll have to make if you have a budget. I think the problem happens is when you don't have any budget at all. Like you're don't know, and by no budget, I don't mean you don't have any funds. I mean like you haven't set aside time to think about, and do your research. Like, this is how much editing costs. This is how much a cover is going to cost. And you're going to find a range, and you're going to, pick the range that is most comfortable for your checkbook,
Right.
and maybe they haven't set out, what am I trying to say? If you go in without any thought at all about what something could cost, you either will have a rude awakening, or you will fall into those traps of, yeah, I could do that for you for $2,000 when, it only actually costs $50 if you did it yourself, that sort of stuff.
I think the key is like, you have to know what the parts are. It's like, it's why we get swindled at a car place, because most people don't know the 10 things that go into a busted axle. But that person who's working is either going to honestly tell you, hey, it's the busted axle and it's this and it's this. And so you can conceive of it and maybe even shop around for it if you have the wherewithal and the ability. But I think that's by and large why people feel swindled at the car mechanic, because they just don't know, and they're being told, here's what it's going to cost to solve your problem. So I think the key is knowing from manuscript to finished product, these are the 10 things and 5 things, whatever, however you want to do it. And here's what I can do, here's what I can't. I think you have to know what the component pieces are. That's what this person who I was talking to was confused about. She didn't know, do I need editing? They told me I need editing. Well, did you get the book edited yet? Well, yeah, but they said I needed to have it edited before it was laid out. Like, no, so you just have to, know the pieces, and then you have to shop either individually for those pieces, add up. Again, if there's 5 things and you have $1,000, you've got to fit those 5 things into there. You can't afford the $750 cover at that rate. You have to work it out. I just think it's if you don't know what you're shopping for, then you're never going to get what you need.
Exactly. So I think in closing, then, in order to be budget conscious and make confident decisions in your business when it comes to publishing your books or hiring anything else like SEO or whatever for your business.
Oh, there's another one.
Number 1, know the parts.
Right.
2, know why they're important. 3, research different prices. It's just like getting a bid on anything. If you need a new roof, you're going to call a few different contractors to try to get, so research different prices, then make your choice. Number 6, learn what you need to learn. If you decide, you know what, I can do a cover, please don't do that. But like, if you come up with like,
what if you do graphic design?
Then maybe you've got something. So graphic design is different than cover design, though. Just saying.
Well,
but
I mean, it's a start, but
it's a start. Yeah, I have no graphic design at all. So yeah, learn what you need to learn, and then do your shopping around, like you said, and then hire somebody, or don't. Like those are the steps, though, so you don't get taken advantage of, and so you're making smart decisions in your business.
And beware of promises that seem unrealistic.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, nobody can promise you a bestseller. A marketer had darn well better have a portfolio of successful books that they can show you, if they're going to even use the B word. And then you also have to know what a bestseller is worth.
Yeah.
like,
and use the services that are out there, Alliance of Independent Authors. You can, if you're a member, you can send, if someone has given you a contract, you can send the contract to the Alliance of Independent Authors. Their legal department will read it and make sure it is not something that you should not sign.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Great tip. I love it.
Yeah. So use the services and the resources that are out there for you, just to keep you safe. So
love it.
Thank you so much for talking with me, Eric. And
what a
I will
pleasure.
see you next week.
Take care.
Bye for now.